Good morning, Sonder family. You made it. We are looking at the very last day of January. Congratulations. Everybody gets a ribbon today for surviving that cold, dark month. We all had lots of cold in our country, and we're getting, stepping closer into spring. Can you believe it's February? My name is Jennifer Ogilvy, and yeah, we should get ribbons, right? Or stickers or something that celebrates surviving. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area. We had a little bit of a thaw over the last 2 days, but I woke up this morning and my phone said it was 18 degrees outside. So everything that thawed is now icy patches. So yay for that. Joining me on the call this morning, my co-facilitator is Maya Martin Glenn, and she's hanging out in the chat with y'all, answering questions, sharing links, pointing you in the right direction for any queries that you should have. So if anything pops up, she's keeping an eye on that, and then she'll also be able to provide you with information. So make sure your chat says to everyone, and I already saw we have some brand new Sonder family members joining us for the very first time. And then, of course, I'm seeing all our familiar names of the folks that set this appointment with themselves to hold themselves accountable, but also to support their Sonder community. Lots of familiar names there. If you're brand new, go ahead and put a me in the chat so that all these beautiful folks can take a look at your name and kind of put it into memory and just give you that big Sonder family welcome. We really do have this special community. I did this monthly setup last night, and I was telling the new folks there that this is going to be like it's a virtual community, but yet when you show up for yourself and to support others, you're going to get to know these folks, and it's going to be one of the best communities that you're a part of. So yeah, you guys are warming up. I've almost finished this ginormous cup of coffee, so I'm feeling good this morning. And yeah, it's Maya and Jennifer, and we're going to be back this evening for the weekly setup. And I'll also be in front of the camera for that one, and Maya will be hanging in the chat. So you get the Jennifer Maya show. And then tomorrow morning, Maya will be in front of the camera, and I'll be her stage manager, her assistant. So you get a triple dose of us this weekend. All righty. So, my friends, I always love to share this graphic if I have a monthly setup in February. Friday, February 6th is called Go Red for Women Day. If you're not familiar with it, it is sponsored by the American Heart Association. And it is just to have an awareness because women and their heart health present differently than men. And this is just that reminder to you, you precious, precious people, to take care of your heart, to know what the common heart attack symptoms are, warning signs for women. And this is important to me. I actually have been part of doing the Go Red through this educational conference that I went to for, gosh, probably 25 years, that was held on the first Thursday and Friday of February. And so on that Friday, it was filled with educators of early childhood people. So most of us were women, and this auditorium would be filled with women wearing red because it was just that reminder in that conference. They would say, we want you to take care of yourselves because you're so busy taking care of others. So I've always kind of had that embedded in my head. And what I love about the Go Red is when we're aware and we're kind of embracing that, we never know. Maybe one of you will read this graphic, and it's in your head, and it could affect you directly or someone that is in your path. So I always like to share this when February hits. We want to take care of of our hearts. So, anyway, yeah, take a look at that graphic and make sure you commit that to memory so that you can take very good care of your physical self. Our community guidelines are shared every time we gather together because we do want to always make sure that we are creating these safe spaces, not only for ourselves, but for others. And so these guidelines will help us do that. We have our customer care email address there, hello@silkandsonder.com. If you should ever need assistance with your subscription, with payments, with what things are looking like with orders, Maya and I don't have access to that, but our customer care, you'll be able to reach out to them at hello@silkandsonder.com. And usually that's a Monday through Friday operation, but occasionally someone from headquarters may pop on. So you could possibly get an answer on a weekend. But again, just that reminder that we keep these spaces safe and that these times of gathering together, our Sonder socials, are tools to help us elevate our emotional health by embracing a like-minded community, but we want to make sure that you're always taking care of yourself, your emotions, well-being, and decisions. All righty. So a brand new theme. When we did our setup last night, a couple of people shared, that they weren't sure that that they felt like they had been able to do the work of alignment the way they would have liked. And they're like, is it going to affect how I jump into this new theme of belief? No, not at all. These themes can kind of stand alone, but sometimes they interconnect with each other. And it was a good call out because it's a great reminder that there may be a theme that comes along. The themes really guide how we do our journal prompts. They sort of set that stage, that mindfulness. We do the weekly setups have those bonus prompts based on our theme, but it could be possible that where you are, the season that you're in, maybe that theme isn't syncing up with what you may need. So take what you can, glean what you can from that, and then perhaps you go back in 6 months and we were saying, maybe in 6 months from now, alignment, which was January's theme, is exactly what you need at that period of your life. I've shared with you that probably the theme that hit me the hardest, or that really helped me just to have this huge mindset in my life, was the theme of indulgence, which was several years ago. But I grew up with a very scarcity mindset my entire life. And also just looking at, I wasn't deserving of treats. I wasn't deserving of indulgences. And so that theme just did this huge mindset in my 50s for how I viewed my life. And so to that point, alignment may or may not have hit for you. That's okay, but it may hit later. So you always have to honor who you are and where you are in your journey. This month, we get to think about belief and what that looks like in our month. And oh my goodness, Henry Ford, this one has been one of those quotes that have always sort of been with me. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's the one that popped up for me when I learned we were doing belief. And so you'll be seeing this quote through the month because I think that it really talks about your own personal mindset. So we start off by looking at Meha's letter. We always ask you to read that because you'll get the idea of why this theme now, what she was thinking when they probably sat around that big table at headquarters and started punching in themes and journal prompts. And so always take a few moments to read it. But here's what jumped out for me. This month, we're celebrating the quiet but powerful force of belief. I think it really ties into our personal core values. And I loved this line. I encourage you to soften into your own becoming. And I even mentioned last night, I may be writing that line on a post-it note and sticking it to my mirror to see that every morning, to soften into your own becoming. Those words are so beautiful. Think about what it's going to look like to believe in your future even before you can see any kind of proof. It's like taking those chances and believing in yourself. And then where might life surprise you if you let belief lead? So those are the things that jumped out for me. I think that's going to sort of be my compass for the month. Excited about that. Our morning together, we're going to start with our monthly acrostic poem as our opening activity, but I also have some alternate activities for you if an acrostic's not your thing. We're going to take a look back over this month of January and what it brought us and celebrate and hold space for the hard stuff. We'll set our February intentions with some beautiful examples from y'all. And then we're going to do those two trackers, that mood tracker and that habit tracker. And again, more wonderful examples from the Sonder family to inspire your pages this month. So let's dig into this thing. Let's get the juices rolling for the theme of belief. I'm going to invite you to find a blank space in your journal, or there's other spaces that you may use. I actually used page 1, the index for my belief acrostic poem. I'll be sharing that in a second. But you'll start maybe thinking about 6 words or phrases that speak to you about what belief is in your life. Just this kind of brainstorm. And then we're going to plug those things into an acrostic poem, which could just be one word, for each letter, BELIEF. Or maybe you have a sentence around that, sets of words, etc. So let's take a look at some of the examples. Now, you would probably want to set your acrostic poem up like this. So a letter per line. We've got a couple sets of synonyms for you to look at. Maybe they'll inspire what goes in your poem, or maybe you'll choose a different word that means belief to you. Maybe a word like confidence or a word like conviction, and you can use those to embrace doing this acrostic poem. I shared last night, y'all may not know this, but Maya builds our skeleton slide decks every month for the facilitators, and then we plug our examples in. But she put together this great slide with a couple of inspiring acrostic poems for you. You can see there's the one at the top has these beautiful long lines, and that poem is amazing because it actually everything rhymes and it's beautiful. The example there at the bottom left, yeah, there's some vowels for sure. The E's and the I's get us. But boundless, enduring, loyal, innate, empowering, fearless. So some inspiration there. And then because we had last night, we've got a little collection of those who shared, some folks who shared. So my acrostic is up in the upper left, and you can see I did it on that index page. So I just use where it says notes and plugged that word in, but you could use a notes page or another space in your journal, maybe one of your weekly scratch pads. Perhaps you go to the poem and do it in the negative space or the negative space around your coloring page. So there's lots of places you could find yourself writing your acrostic poem. And then we've got some alternate activities if you'd rather, or if you were here last night and you did your belief acrostic, perhaps you'll do one of these other activities as you're embracing getting your mind wrapped around this. You can always do an acrostic with the name of the month, or you can see someone did a birthday acrostic because it was their birthday month. And I also suggested maybe doing your name, or think of a person in your life who really believes in you as a human being, as one of the best people on the face of this earth. And maybe you do an acrostic celebrating the presence of that person in your life. There are some other things you might want to do to start the juices rolling on belief, like writing a haiku. And I gave you, there's the little syllable formula for making a haiku. You could write a letter saying goodbye to January, and hello to February, and just use that personification right to the months, like you were writing to a friend. Or if January was terrible, maybe writing to an enemy and saying, breaking up with January, goodbye, we're glad to not have you in our life anymore. And then welcoming in your new friend, February. Also, you could go to page 3 and start thinking about what belief means to you and coming up with your definition of belief. That one is mine there on the bottom right. And I said, of course, the first thing that comes to my mind is my faith. But I started thinking, my core values informing my decisions is belief to me, confidence in myself, having a positive mindset, truth and honor. So those are the things that kind of came up for me as I was thinking about what belief means in my life. I'm going to put on some music and I'll go back and forth between these slides while you work on this and invite you to share. Oh, Nathania's going to do an acrostic for her mom. I love that. I love that. That person who believes in you. Carly, your best friend. I love that. So perhaps you'll frame this opening activity up around those special people. I'll go back through the slides and feel free to share in the chat as you're comfortable. righty. So you guys came up with some great examples. You shared, what that belief mean. You got your brains going. What does belief mean for you? Thank you so much for dropping those things in the chat. And I love Hannah said she wrote a letter to January and she said, you and me were a little awkward. We didn't know how to be friends yet. And I love that. That is such a great reflection. You tried and you can't wait again. You'll see each other again. I love that. That's such a powerful way to frame out a month that maybe didn't go quite your way. Thank you for sharing that, Hannah. Would love to see these in Sonder Club if you're comfortable posting. That's how we get beautiful content to share with the world through these socials. So if you're comfortable, share that acrostic. And yes, for sure. Christina said she went to Chat GPT. Another idea is going to Jenny, who knows you so well, and getting some inspiration from that AI. And I always like that Maya says, but try to use your HI, your human intelligence, when you can. All righty. So, oh, and I meant to share that one too. There's that letter from it. I did it a little bit smaller there. I was going to show it bigger so you could see that. We are going to now invite you to turn to page 8, which is your January reflections. And then that start, stop, and continue box down there at the bottom. And so I want you to kind of look at this page in the idea with the idea of two sort of separate activities. So as you reflect on your January and you think about the things that brought you joy, the things that you're celebrating from the month, the things that you're like fist pumping, those wins. Um, we're going to write those in that very top section. The next part is our challenges. Life is full of, I always say that balance, that yin yang, right? And so, what were your challenges? And as you're writing those down, I want you to think about how you can find the learning or the lesson or the celebration within getting those challenges and getting through them. And then of course, just what were your most favorite moments of the month? So after you work on that, then kind of take a deep breath and dive into that start, stop, and continue space. Now, as we're reflecting, you might want to grab your cell phone and take a look. I laughed so hard. I was telling Maya this morning. I looked on my phone to kind of go backward. What did the month bring me? Because I snip, a second a day. I do that little app where you do one little clip it, and really my photo roll is full of y'all stuff. I'm always snapping pictures of the pages that are shared in Sonder Club. So that would be a win. I got some great content to share with everybody. But that's a really great way to go back and see what the month brought you. Look at your phone, look at your calendar. What were your appointments? Maybe even go through your texts. Maybe there were some meetings that happened. You can just go through all of the things that are there stored in that part of your life. I often say check your credit card statement. Oh yeah, new tires on the car. That was a challenge. And then the rosebud thorn reflection from the week to week to week in January, a great place to go grab that content. And the reason we do this reflection is it helps us sit in the moment and find gratitude for what life brought us. And it kind of can be inspiring when you look at those challenges and go, okay, but I got through them. I'm sitting here on January 31st saying goodbye to this month and celebrating that I got through those challenges. Now, our start, stop, and continue spaces. These are things, what do you want to start this month? What do you want to bring forward? And they may not look much different from what January looked like. You might bring that forward. What do you want to stop doing? What are the things that are standing in your way of your best version of self? And then what do you want to continue doing? The things that you are celebrating. And I've got some ways to frame that out. I really love y'all who do this reflection a little bit deeper by asking yourself, what is it? why is it important that I start it, or why is it important that I stop or continue, and then how. So you sort of go a little bit deeper into what, why, and how. So asking yourself those questions. There's a great example up there of how someone has done that. I also love when a sticker just embraces what you want in life and you can stick the stickers. We say, Maya says, they want to fulfill their destiny. Use those stickers. And I was going to suggest also, if you have something that's kind of big and occupying a lot of space in your mind this month, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's something at work. Maybe you're really looking at your physical health and you're wanting to embrace nutrition with a different mindset. This could become very topical, and you could really lean into sort of theming it out by that relationship. Maybe this is all about a friendship that you are growing and healing, or perhaps this is about how you're going to take care of yourself through your nutrition this month, or maybe it's all about the ways you move your body. And so you can kind of create a theme for these spaces. I think that can be very helpful. And then here's some other examples from our Sonder family. This one at the bottom is one of my old ones. And, I wanted to start that solid bedtime routine. Y'all know I have trouble with my bedtime, and I needed to stop staying up late and wasting good rest time. And when I stay up late, I tend to snack. So I was going to continue tracking no late night snacking. And I think these are actually going to kind of show up again for me in this month's intentions because I haven't been doing a very good job. I'm going to restart. So you can name that box restart. There's another example of somebody asking a deeper dive into the what, why, and how. And then also, you can reframe this space and kind of repurpose it using this graphic that is from our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. And it is looking at, I'm feeling this way because of. And what is that telling me that I want or I need in my life? And so perhaps this kind of resonates a little bit more for whatever journey you're on today. So let me put on some music while you work on this reflections page and your start, stop, continue space. And just kind of, be gentle to yourself as you're looking at the past month and share in the chat what January brought your way, and also what you're going to start and stop and continue for the month of February. This is going to serve as our foundation for how we set up our new month. Heidi. Thank you for working on your reflections from this past month. Some of y'all had some amazing wins, those celebrations, and then there were some definite challenges. And Nathania brought up something very important that, sometimes your wins and challenges can be one and the same, the tougher moments as well as those wins. We always say that with the rosebud thorn. It's sometimes those weeks align and you're looking and your rose and your bud and your thorn are all the same thing. But you guys did have some beautiful things that happened this month. And it's important that we have these types of reflections because it really does help us find those moments of gratitude when it feels hard to find those moments of gratitude. So pat yourself on the back for spending time with your journal and looking for those things and acknowledging them. You're in a way better space than many, many people just because you're being intentional with your journal. Speaking of intentions, we're now going to flip over to page 9 and we're going to set our intentions for this month. And something I wanted to talk about was like last night, a couple of people shared, I'm looking at January's journal and these intentions still feel right for where I am, and I'm just bringing them over. That's a great call out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel from month to month. If you find some things that are working for you that are helping your headspace sort of set up what you want your month to look like, keep using those. Just bring them on over and use them again. Now, this month we've got some fun stuff in February and some important stuff in February. So maybe something that you see in these graphics will help you sort of decide what might go in a few of these spaces. It is Black History Month. It's Women's Heart Month. We talked about that. It's National Bird Feeding Month. I love that this is showing up here on this slide. I actually filled all my feeders yesterday. Maybe you're looking for something new for your personal life or hobbies. So you might embrace the idea of National Embroidery Month. And it is National Library Lovers Month. And y'all know me, I love my library. And I read something in the socials that said, everybody make sure you have your own library card. So that's a challenge for you. Maybe this becomes part of your professional goals or learning goals. Make sure you have your library card. And it said, go check out books. Hopefully you read them, but if you don't, that's okay. Turn them back in, check out some more. And just make sure you're using that library to make sure that you're sending those messages to the people that make decisions about libraries being open. Oh, I would be lost without my library. So yeah, there's my there's my plug for the day. We have a long weekend coming up, maybe for some of you with President's Day. It is National Pizza Day. It falls in February. Super Bowl's coming up, Groundhog Day's coming up. So February's got lots of things. Oh, and a full moon. There we go. New month, new moon, or full moon. Now these intentions might need to be informed by your start, stop, and continue spaces that you just worked on. What can you take from there to maybe set up your intentions for the month? Our intentions are kind of those overriding beliefs, our little mindsets for each one of these areas of the month. You can frame it out in a lot of ways, like, self-talk, self-love, using songs or lyrics or book titles as sort of that overriding idea. Stickers, of course. I've got some great examples to share with you. Here you can see that the one in the upper left, one word to encompass that mindset for each one of these spaces. And notice that one at the top. You can see where spiritual goals has been set to mental, or spiritual health has been changed to mental health. That is that reminder to give yourself permission to change up any of these spaces that you need to. My professional goals each month become my learning goals. And I make sure that I do things like watch documentaries, read nonfiction books, maybe take a little online class about something I want to know more of, watch a TED Talk. And so my professional goals, I always change that to learning goals. I change my money management usually to home and or garden management because that just fits my life better. I want to point out this one that you see those cute little duckies on. This person has three uh, things that they're going to do for their intentions, or three intentions. They're not using the six. And so they're kind of going across the page. So the three intentions are for mental health, physical health, and financial health. And then they're using the next door neighbor box to sort of write out some of the things that they want to do to support the mental health, to support the physical health, to support that financial health. So a reminder that these boxes all don't have, each space doesn't have to be filled in. This person needs three intentions for the month. Also, I've seen folks leave one or two of these spaces blank so that they can go back and maybe just do an overall reflection on the four intentions that they're embracing, or they may put something like a scripture or a quote that supports those intentions. You could also do something like a little mini vision board or scrapbook, you can see some fun cutout magazines there. Here we've got another example of great stickers to embrace each one of these. And then I always love this idea of exploring the duality of life, that yin and yang. And so here's two examples, the one in the middle and the one on the bottom left. The bottom left says, I want more of something and less. The one in the middle is what am I going to do and what am I going to let go of? So some that balance is a really nice way to set up your intention for the month. You could use the monthly theme of belief, or perhaps your word of the year guides it, or just a word that you embrace. So this person's is radiate. And so it's radiate peace, radiate good choices, radiate restraint when it comes to money management. And then also using any type of an affirmation statement is a very good way to be empowered through your intentions. So you can see some examples there of how folks have used in affirmations. There is an example with a lot of quotes to frame out the intention space. And then somebody really got crafty and made like these little envelope peekaboos that they could put on their intention space. And then this is kind of cool. Sometimes I know I was really bad when I first started using my journal. I'd set up these intentions and then I'd forget to go back and incorporate them in throughout the rest of my month. And so this person is actually, this is their mood tracker below, you see on the bottom there. And they're using their mood tracker as an intentions tracker to make sure that they're directing themselves back to looking at what the intentions are for the month. So perhaps you repurpose a tracker. Maybe you use that habit and activity tracker in some way to hold yourself accountable for taking these intentions and putting them into your goals and your to-dos, all those things you want for your month. Finally, a couple more examples. I love the hearts. This was an old one. And I thought, well, we got to bring the hearts back for Valentine's Day. So you can see that money management changed to house management. And then the one over there on the right, we're doing mental and spiritual health. And then being guided by that word embrace to set each one of the things that, the things that they want to embrace about their personal life or their physical health. So I'm going to put on some music while you work on your intentions. And you're already talking about some things that you're thinking for this page, how you're going to set it up, how you're going to hold yourself accountable. So continue to share those things to inspire one another. And then we'll get on with our next section. lots of discussion on this wonderful book, Atomic Habits. It sounds like you guys might end up creating a space with a meeting to discuss some of the takeaways from it. I mentioned when y'all started talking about it, I usually read this once a year, maybe more. And it's a good audiobook because James Clear himself reads it. But what I love about Atomic Habits is he talks about these small spaces to start in. We have these big overriding ideas about I'm going to declutter my entire house. And that's really too big of a bite. And he really talks about how we create habits by starting small and then building. If you have trouble with that kind of self-regulation when it comes to habits, please read James Clear, but watch in Sonder Clubs because it sounds like we're going to have some opportunities for y'all to gather together. Y'all are creating that. Yeah, the habit stacking is amazing where you take something you're already doing and do that. So, what I love about doing this intention time of our setup is now we can take these intentions, and these intentions will inform the way we structure the rest of our days in the month. So, for example, we've got this intention of move in a kind way, healing my foot. And so then when you've got this physical health intention, now what does that mean to move in a kind way, healing my foot? And those things can show up in your habits, your activities, the goals for your physical health. So you can take that and push it into the rest of your month and how that's going to happen. So now we're going to take a moment to set up these two trackers, and I'm going to show you some great examples of the mood tracker. Something I neglected to say at the front end of doing this is a fun tracker to maybe make a copy of or a couple of copies of because it can be repurposed for so many other things. Maybe you're working on your closet, that would be me. And so you take this mood tracker, you make a copy of it, and it becomes your closet clean out tracker. And you can track, every single day, maybe giving 5 or 10 minutes doing what James Clear says, take it in small bites, and you track that way. So it's a good tracker for repurposing and using for other ways that will support what you want in your life. We have two styles of mood trackers. This month is the hexagon, and then on months that have 31 days, we have the circle tracker. So I always like to show both in case there's somebody new. I don't want you to think, "Oh, what happened to my tracker?" when you get your new tracker the next time around. We've got, yeah, and there's Team Hexagon, Team Circle, Team I don't care. I'm just glad to have a tracker. So that's what it looks like this month. We do track our moods because when we track moods, it can help us see maybe spaces that we're operating in that affect our moods. That can help us make shifts. Maybe it's about, oh, every time I'm around these people, my mood drops. There's a lot of value in tracking moods. Now, I don't use it as a mood tracker. I use mine as a book tracker usually, but I did something different this month. I'm going to share that with you. But noticing those trends then can help us make shifts. I always think about what would this have looked like when I was working that last year under a boss that I wasn't real fond of, and my mood tracker might have really revealed some stuff to me by taking all that data. So when you are doing this tracker, we suggest doing a couple of maybe, not so great feelings or moods, maybe some very neutral moods, and then a couple of great moods. You can kind of focus on the theme, and there's many ways to track your moods. You can do check-ins throughout the day, or you could just kind of overall at the end of the day, today was. And I know that there are some folks who will actually look at their mood tracker in the morning and kind of set a goal for the day. So today's mood is going to be joy. And then they use this as a tracker for what they want to manifest in their days. Here is that feelings wheel. I won't spend much time on it, but you can see the core are those six basic feelings. They're also spread around the outside of that. And then as you move outward into this, you get more defined feelings that sort of fall under those six categories. I'll come back to this so you can take a look at it. Here's some great examples of setting up for the moods. The person over on the bottom right will be doing an AM and a PM check-in. So kind of how did I starting my day? How am I finishing my days? And they've just drawn lines down the middle of each one of those spaces. The one over on the left actually took some of all those words from the feelings wheel and dropped them under each one of those categories so that they can really hone in to that feeling. And some more examples here of doing that. And I really like this reflection at the upper left, this person when they're doing their tracker and filling it in. Today I woke up feeling, and then they're filling that in fear, anger, sad, overwhelmed, joy. And I went to bed feeling a certain way. So then you can kind of look at your day. You started off in this mindset and then you ended in this mindset, and it could be the same thing, or it could be I started off with anger and I finished with joy. And then you can think, okay, how did I get there? And start repeating those things that brought you joy. And of course, there's the idea of tracking emotions and pairing with energy. So the example on the bottom right, their energy level is going to be looked at each day, and they're using a different color to outline the space according to what their energy was, and then looking at their emotions. So we got a ton of examples of repurposing, and then I'll put on music and you can go back through all of these while we work on this section. But many different ways of setting this up. A spending tracker, if that's one of your financial goals, your money management intention, perhaps you now turn this into a spending tracker. Maybe you track your calm, maybe it's anxiety. This is a manifest happiness tracker. I've shared this before, but this was a person is going, how can I bring happiness into my life? And it's by, giving compliments, making connections. Am I enjoying different things that bring me joy? Did I smile at someone? So, yeah, Nicole, I give Maya a moment and she'll be able to find that blog in Silk and Sonder that has the feelings wheel on there, and she can share that, and then y'all can all grab that and save it as a favorite. A movement tracker, and you see they're tracking four things. That also that great reminder, you don't have to track the six things there. How to start the day in a good mood. Over there on the right is a morning rhythms and routine. And if they do all six of them, they get that dark colored sticker. If they only do one of them, they get the little gray sticker. But it was a way of holding themselves accountable to their morning rituals and routines. And Maya just dropped that feelings wheel mood tracker blog post in there. Go grab that, save it as a favorite. I told y'all I usually use mine as a book tracker, which there's an example on the left. But this month, I really, it was cold, it was cozy. I love doing crafts and hobbies in my retirement. I stay busy all day long, at my sewing machine. And so I could turn mine into Crafty Me this month. And so all my little projects just got a space when they were completed. And they were tiny little projects. Maybe I just watercolored a little, postcard. But I tracked all the things, and I was saying I've got a few more projects with only one more day left, but I almost made it. So doing a Crafty Me was kind of fun this month. I may do that one again. And then here's, perhaps you're a small business owner, and so you track the things that you need to do, for your business. Again, a healthier habits tracker. So meditate, walk, yoga, and a wise lunch choice. So perhaps that's being informed by those intentions. And then this person, obviously, the made tracker is looking at some clean out and decluttering. And I love this. Each one of their spaces in their home has a designated color. It looks like maybe there might be some days off by coloring those in, some holiday. Like the first was a holiday, the third, fourth were weekends. So maybe we're not going to track on those weekends. But they've designated different things like how many bags am I leaving get is am I taking up from the basement? Wow, what a great feeling. So when you look back over the month, you're like, look at me, I got rid of 12 bags of stuff. So I'm going to put on some music while you work on this tracker. Let us know, are you repurposing? Do you use it as a mood tracker? If you've used this as a mood tracker consistently, what has it revealed to you? Let folks know how you've used that. All right, Sardi, as requested, I just posted my crafty me in Sonder Club. It really was kind of fun to sort of have those goals of making sure I was keeping my hands busy. All righty, let's set up this last tracker. This is that habit tracker. I love this one. These are those things that you want to do every single day of the month. And when I love the idea of going back and looking at your start, stop, and continue. What information from those spaces could show up here on your habit tracker? And this is actually inspired by James Clear, this reminder that those small things can add up to really big things at the end. So, 20 pages a day in a book equals 30 books per year. So don't underestimate the power of those small habits. And we have that habit and activity tracker that shows up in our weekly setup. That one can have things from this tracker on it, but it can also be changed up to reflect whatever's going on that particular week. But this tracker has all the things we want to do most days of the month. And so I'm going to go through these slides really quickly so you can take a look at it, and just talk about point out some things, maybe highlight those weekends or those days that are different from your regular days, like you can see on the right there. That's important. You might end up, skipping weekends and giving yourself permission. This one over here, Kimberly L shared it. It's kind of intense. It looks intense, but it's really just three things and how she was embracing those. Remember that this session is being recorded. You'll be able to go back and look at last night's or this morning's setup if you wanted to get a better look at that. You can also do a quick screenshot of that. But she was really trying to lean into three dynamic habits. The habit tracker over there on the right, I just love it because in the middle it says a better me. And so a reminder, not all the lines are filled in. They took what they needed, and those are the things that they want to track. You don't need to fill in every line. Some more examples. I like to throw the one on the right end a lot because they are using the outside of the wheel to indicate those special days, so that they might look a little different. This is data that you're collecting. It's like, oh, well, I was at Disney World. That's why these didn't get checked off. The reminder that, if you miss, that's okay. Maybe honor that. I missed that day. An empty space tells as much information as a filled space. Again, a couple of reminders of not filling in all the lines here. The habit tracker with all those pretty colors on it, they've just blocked out the week by color. So that's kind of a neat indication. Here are a couple of completed trackers that I just think it's nice to see folks completed trackers at the end of the month to remember, yeah, not all the space get filled out. That's okay. And because it's not a bingo game, and we just give ourselves grace when we miss those things. So let me put on a little bit of music and I'll go back through those while we finish up, and then we'll close out our time. And I have a fun announcement for you. So hang around if you can. Spending time with y'all just goes by so fast. I can't believe we're at the end of this social. And again, you'll be able to catch the recording if you want to go back and look a little closer at any of the slides, the examples that you saw this morning. Thank you to all of you who hopped in there and said, hey, that's my example. We so appreciate being able to grab those. And I know sometimes you'll see something, you're like, I think that one was mine from maybe like 4 years ago. We love to hang on to, to those examples to show y'all what's old is new again. Be sure to share your planner in Sonder Club. Of course, a shout out to our personal life coach. And then we have a fun event coming up. Mayha's first baby is turning 7 years old, and we're going to have a big birthday bash on February 18th. So you'll want to be sure to sign up for that. Maya is dropping a bunch of really important links in the chat. Make sure you have saved, bookmarked that YouTube channel so that you can go watch the over 1,000 recordings of Sonder Socials. And I want just to encourage you to jump into February with the belief that it's going to serve you well. And it's going to be everything that you're dreaming of, all those intentions that you have. You'll be able to get through that. I will drop my Spotify link in the chat as we say goodbye to each other. Y'all make it a great weekend, and hopefully Maya and I will see you tonight for the weekly setup for the first week of February.